Melting glaciers and ice sheets are raising the global sea level by a little less than an inch annually. While it may seem like a small increase, coastal states like Louisiana see the effects much faster, putting them at the forefront of climate change and restoration. On this episode of the Way Forward Election 2023, we explore the issue of sea level rise and the solutions presented to fix the problem.
Something dangerous is happening in our oceans. Ice sheets and glaciers are melting at an accelerated rate. Glaciers used to take thousands of years to experience significant changes, but now we're seeing extreme melting in less than a 30-year time span. Scientists agree that sea level rise is an impending global disaster, and at the forefront of it is Louisiana.
Every year around the world, sea level rises about a tenth of an inch every year. But here in Louisiana, we have a much higher sea level rise rate.
Dr. Alicia Renfro is a coastal scientist working to restore Louisiana's coast.
Because not only do we have sea levels rising, but the land is actually sinking, mostly due to compaction of our wet sediments, as well as kind of the underlying geology. So as the land is sinking, the sea levels are rising. So we're experiencing some of the highest relative sea level rise in the world.
The compaction Dr. Renfro is talking about starts with the Mississippi River. Through a process called subsidence, the river packs wet sediment in piles. The pressure of these piles squeezes out moisture in the ground, which causes a sinking effect.
How low are we sinking?
It kind of depends on where you are along the coast. The highest rates of subsidence are actually found in the Birdfoot Delta, all the way down at the end of the river. And that is on the order of about an inch every year. Some of the lowest are in the Cheniere Plain in southwest Louisiana.
So whenever you hear things like, you're sinking an inch every single year, or globally sea level rises, you said 0.1 inch?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a lot, but it seems like scientists and experts are pretty alarmed by it. Why is that?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot when you hear that. You just think, oh, it's an inch. That doesn't sound like much, but it's happening continuously over time. And one thing you'll notice about coastal Louisiana anyway is that it's a very low-lying place. And so inches matter.
The rate of sea level rise is about 1 inch every 2 years in Louisiana. We've already seen water rise 24 inches since 1950 in areas like Grand Isle.
As you have that sea level rise, you actually have that impacting our coastal ecosystem. Our wetlands are low-lying. They become water piles on top of them for longer and longer. It erodes them. So we're losing the coastal wetland system that surrounds us.
I'm looking over at this map that's on this side, and I'm just wondering, okay, so that's showing land loss. Is that also where sea level is rising?
Yeah, so this particular map here is showing predicted sea level rise over a period of time. And so here in Louisiana, we've already lost 1,900 square miles of land since 1932. And so this is looking into the future, assuming a sea level rise scenario, how much we could lose. And so in this map, red is everything we've lost and green is everything we gain. And as you can see, it's a story of loss. That is the vulnerable part of our ecosystem that could disappear if we do nothing.
The combination of sea level rise and land loss will cause a variety of issues in our state. We'll see stronger storm surges, more flooding, and possibly inland migration from cities like New Orleans. Some residents living there say we can approach the problem a little differently.
People have been recording increased frequency of storms, and as many of us are also feeling extreme heat, many other impacts of climate change as well. They're ongoing around us, and it's important to see that and still use the science and data available to look forward.
Caroline Reed is the project manager for I See Change. It's an app that regular people can use to document instances of extreme weather. In New Orleans, where Caroline is based, app users post about flooding and extreme heat the most. If sea levels continue to rise, flooding will be more of an issue.
And we may even experience new types of flooding, such as sunny day flooding, which is what a lot of our friends down in Miami have been dealing with for years now, where heightened levels of ocean water actually push up through drainage systems and can cause flooding in cities when there's no storm present.
I See Change's solution is to document the public's experience with these problems so that city planners and engineers can address some of those needs as they're happening.
A lot of these issues are man-made in some ways, and there are a lot of people who are shifting their focus to start saying, how can we better learn to live with water? We've have a lot to learn and how we can do better to correct some of the places where we've overbuilt or tried to control water rather than live beside it.
On a larger state level, Dr. Renfro says investment is the best route to save our coast.
What does Louisiana have to do to take care of Louisiana?
So, there are efforts in Louisiana to limit our carbon emissions, looking to the next 20 years to get us to carbon neutral. But the big thing that we can do right now in Louisiana is actually invest in restoration to help hold on to as much land as we can.
The state has invested in solutions. The Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority of Louisiana created a coastal master plan, which focuses on 2 strategies: risk reduction and coastal restoration. In total, it cost about $50 billion. So far, only 150 projects, or $15 billion worth of work, has been completed since 2007. It was mainly funded by court settlement money and temporary federal and state funds. According to the Reset Initiative authored by the Council for a Better Louisiana and the Public Affairs Council, that money will likely run out in the next decade, leaving these projects in limbo. And that's something to consider when you go to vote for our next governor.
We need to be able to hold on to as much of the system as we can in order to protect the coastal communities from some of those bigger impacts from sea level rise.